Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the Vault. Trust Christian Own Nothing, Control Everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the Vault, episode 629. Definitely thank everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Once again, this is the Vault, episode 629. Most people live on the money and trust. Definitely excited about this particular episode. We're going to cover actually quite a bit today. It's kind of going to be like a good update, actually, and even giving you guys some content that comes from, working with some, actually seeing some NFL players. I actually think two NFL players. So we're going to talk about some, what people call celebrities. Athletes are celebrities too. People want to hear what they have to say. They're just not a performer on the field or the court. So celebrities, that's what they are. So we're going to talk about this because we can address these situations, and what happens is we could tell you that these athletes are not living in trust. Oh, he's a millionaire, Christian. Come on, Christian. Trust Christian in Vote. He has an agent, and he's giving the agent what, 10, 20%? And then somehow my agent lets me get robbed. Now, does that make sense, ladies and gentlemen? When you get robbed, when your house gets burglarized, you fire your team. When you lose a fight, you get fired. So once again, we're actually gonna bring this out. We brought this up before. It's unfortunate. Be be Excuse us. We're typing in because these athletes got burglarized. Just Christian Vote. You when you're rich, you don't have to worry about getting robbed. Trust Christian. We gonna go on the internet and tell everybody we got money, like the athletes do, like the NFL players that play for the championship team. Trust Christian Vote. They can get robbed. You want us to repeat that again? The championship team players, they can get robbed. No, Trust Christian. My agent was supposed to protect me. I'm paying my agent out of my salary because I am a valuable person. That means you're worth money. But then we get robbed. So recently reported, this actually came out on the 13th of November. This year, so 2024. You all can research this. Homes of Patrick Mahomes, one of the top-ranked quarterbacks, Travis Kelsey, targeted by burglars in early October. Oh wow! So they ain't even doing it one time; they doing it two times. Shout out and rest in peace, Sean Taylor. The league has let this go on. If you have employees, because they're employees, right? When the employees work for you, you're supposed to protect them, especially in this particular case. It's a recurring theme of athletes, pro football players, basketball players. We're not going to blame it on race because it's not a race. It's about the money. How did they get in your neighborhood? You were living in a gated neighborhood, right? No, we weren't living in a gated neighborhood, but we live in a big house. Okay, fair. So you didn't live in a gated neighborhood. And just to let you all know, for the past 2 years of Trust Christian in the Vault, doing research in a $1 billion environment, and one of the firms that we have a relationship with, that was the first thing they brought up. It's a 2 day conference. That was the first thing they brought up after the opening speech. Hey guys, we're going to bring up somebody to address the Southern California burglaries that have been happening for wealthy people and them driving home at night. And we're going to give you some safety precautions. We're going to give you some security procedures. Sometimes they're older clientele. Sometimes, once again, these clientele live in gated communities, and they're still telling them, hey, look, if somebody jets through the gate with you, or somehow if you see a car that's unsuspected on your street that's not supposed to be there and you're not aware, don't go home, drive back to the front gate. These are the type of procedures that they're talking to when you hear security talking to a wealthy environment. Once again, if you're an athlete, for the most part, you're making over $1 million a year, you're wealthy in that respect. These are some of the top players. They've had major contracts. They're not small players. Once again, they this isn't race. This is the facts. The homes of Kansas City Chiefs Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey were burglarized within 48 hours of each other in early October, according to multiple reports. But somehow, guess what? They've been at it again. Oh, yeah? Trust Christian and Vote? They got their houses burglarized around the time of a game? Oh, it's not rocket science. Someone's going to rob you when you're not home. But why did Sean Taylor pass? Rest in peace. He was home. They didn't know that he wasn't home. He was injured. See, this is when you know the facts. He was injured and he was home. But they had the quote unquote Redskins had a game at that time. They were called that, whatever. Now they're called the Commanders. Once again, he was home. They were injured. He was injured. Ladies and gentlemen, people, you think they're living in trust. Most people that are in trust are living on the money in trust. So we get a bunch of trustees that'll reach out. Oh man, Trust Christian, I got my own trust, and so I got my own trust. But y'all don't want to know. They living out of it. Hold on. The trust was supposed to be set up for the beneficiary. When trustees come to us, you're a trustee, right? That means you're an officer. You're not the beneficiary. Trust Christian, don't tell me that though. Trust Christian, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that I can't live off the money that I'm earning for the family estate right now. You're wrong. You can live off of it. But there's a right way to do it, and then there's an improper way to do it. Sure, I'm gonna take money in. I'm gonna take money and I'm gonna get and I'm gonna work and I'm gonna place money in trust. This is the story, so we're giving an example now. Somebody will say, "Oh, trust Christian involved. I got it. How am I gonna live? Y'all want to talk? Let's talk. Oh, trust Christian. How am I gonna get a mortgage for a house? Still thinking about yourself, but you say you want to be in trusteeship. Once again, most people live on the money in the trust. But the people that do it properly, they have conjunction with the insurance. We'll say it. We're not promoting insurance, not financial advice, not legal advice. We're not promoting specific insurance. Once again, the proper would be it's a system. See, we're going to give breadcrumbs, but we're still going to share that it's a system. See, some people want it to be one thing. So they think all I got to do is hit the lottery. See, that's the lottery mentality. Oh man, all I got to do is do one thing. There is never one thing to do. It's always multiple things to do. It's a system. It's not one grade, it's 12 grades. Then they got extra grades to school, secondary school. Once again, it's not one. It's a system. What are these athletes? What are these celebrities that are getting robbed in these? Once again, these are wealthy people. Oh man, this isn't a crypto. We robbed your bank account. We hacked your bank account stuff. They didn't do that. Whoever was willing to rob them knew that their security defenses were low. I mean, you got to kind of be a professional. Maybe they're not a professional. That's on them for not being a professional. But once again, their defenses were down. And the burglars knew it. First of all, how do you even know that that house is Travis Kelsey's or Patrick Mahomes? Trust Christian in the vote. Don't tell us what you about to tell us because it can't be that easy. It can't be that true. If that was the case, why they not doing it? They got a lot of money. Ain't they supposed to know that? Aren't their agents supposed to know that? First of all, their agent's not always a lawyer. We want to call them a con artist. We want to call them a salesman, but they're not lawyers. They're not even great contract negotiators. These people are, and we'll call them out because we could do their job. It's reading the contract and making sure that the contract's in the favor of the athlete. That's what's supposed to be happening. And once again, these athletes are at the mercy of the agent. Reading the contract, going through the contract. I trust my agent. So my agent becomes my manager, just like in a trust situation. So once again, they become the trustee, the athlete's the worker. They're kind of like the product or service, but they're the beneficiary of the product or service. So they're in a beneficiary position. See how we can convert these trust conversations into multiple parts of your life or multiple verticals. We can go all over, but let's stick with these athletes because we just shared that they got robbed. This is someone has already passed from this. These are just some of the two most recent occurrences. Most people live on the money and the trust, though. What they live on the money and the trust. Why aren't the athletes in trust? Because if they were in trust, their houses would have been in trust. And when people would have searched their property on the county record, they wouldn't have seen their name. That's the easiest way to find out if someone owns the house or not. Oh, I heard that Lil Wayne bought a house on the beach. I'm going to go search the county property record to see where Dwayne Michael Carter shows up. I'm going to go see if he bought the property in his name. See, once again, burglars aren't completely stupid. All they got to do is let me go search Patrick Mahomes' county record for property. Oh, wow, everything's in his name because his agent didn't protect him. He's a con artist. Oh, that's what they are? Sorta. Do y'all remember recently when, y'all want to know how deep this goes? It's so deep that recently one of the athletes got pulled over by the police. And because his agent didn't have him on a PR campaign across the city prior to this incident, the police pulled him over, pulled him out the car, and threw him on the ground. This is somebody that, if it wasn't for this athlete actually performing at a high level, they might not have a job as a police officer guarding the stadium that day. But somehow the athlete just kind of got into a verbal altercation with the cop. Once again, no besmirch on the cop, no besmirch on the athlete. Once again, the conflict or the situation escalated. First of all, how you not know one of 50 men on the roster that's making millions of dollars that their name, their jersey is selling, and maybe your kids know them. So now you're on public record for throwing out somebody that's considered a childhood hero for speeding, for, those type of things. Now, we're not condoning speeding, but once again, we're going to take him out the car, we're going to throw him, like you don't know who he is. With a level of respect for a human and say, hey, look, this could go south, but could you work with us, please? We have to do our job. Let us do our job. So no, aggressive tones are taken. Oh man, let's see whose car is this. Well, clearly he's an athlete. We probably know that it's his car. Like, come on, this is called common sense, but we don't want to say that the cop didn't have common sense. He probably even knew who the athlete was, and now you're on the mode. You're on what? You're in the mode to what? But once again, the athlete didn't say, call my lawyer. If you listen to the recording, he says, call my agent, my property manager. Woo! My property manager. If y'all like that, please hit the like and the subscribe. Call my property manager. He's going to come and clear this up for me, because if you knew who I was, you wouldn't even want to touch me right now. We're going to sue you. I'm going to help you because it's called compelling me. But I'm doing it under threat, duress, and coercion. And I'm saying that into your video camera. I'm doing it under threat, duress, and coercion. You hear the difference in educated conversation around money? Because when you have money, you're supposed to be educated, right? But in turn, these athletes, celebrities, sometimes they're in environments where, you're not protected. You're not in trust. Clearly, you got your house robbed. And you weren't in trust, Patrick Mahomes. If you were in trust, Patrick Mahomes, how did they know that it was your house? How does a robber know that it's Patrick Mahomes? They're not robbing everybody's house in the city. That's fair. Can we make a quality assumption? No, it was targeted because athletes and celebrities are targeted for burglaries. But if you have the property in your name and it's not in trust, that's not in your name. So easy to, as an athlete, you have tons of money, as a celebrity, tons of money, whoever. You could have bought the property in a trust and they're not in your name. The chances of you being robbed at that point, we could cut that in half. Some people will say, oh, trust Christian in the vault. You just mentioned that wealthy people are being tailed home and they're still getting robbed. That's fair. They're older, once again. These athletes are getting robbed strategically when their games are not in town or they're having a game and they're not at home. You hear those conversations? Most people live off the money and trust. So even if these athletes and celebrities, because people, you guys can Google them, whatever your favorite rapper, your favorite celebrity, you can Google, do they have a trust? It's like asking, does a politician have a trust? You can Google if a politician has trust, because some of them are in public trust. So that is a public disclosure. Now, private trust, if their properties were in private trust, their names wouldn't have been known associated with the property. And it's interesting how the public media can put out in the public news that their properties were robbed, specifically their name. Now you think about it, if you're in private trust, if you're in trust and the property gets robbed, why would you promote in the public that your name that doesn't own the property got robbed? So we already know his name's on the property because they wanted to report his name getting robbed. We can write off a loss. That's how we move. We can write off losses, and he's writing off personal losses now. The trust isn't writing off a loss. His family trust isn't writing off a loss. These are wealthy athletes, ladies and gentlemen. They were considered to be wealthy. They're hanging out with the owners now. Most people in trust live on the money in trust. But we can see that there's a difference between public trust and private trust. Because if it's a public trust, then what we're talking about is what? Their name is on the property. So they're living in it. So you guys, you can be in the same position they're in. They're in trust. And they got robbed. It's safe to say these individuals have trust. Maybe they got to, remember, it's 80 different types of trust. We wanted to address that on this episode. Since there's 80 different types of trust, who knows what type of trust they're in? How do you know which one to get in? Trust Christian in the vault? Well, great question. We know the one to get in because it's not public. It's private. It's not statutory in nature. See, the public one, it exposes us like it exposed them. The private one, it's private. The contracts, no state can impair the obligation of a contract. If you're living in those common law jurisdictions, you already know how powerful your contract or the contract that you're a trustee of is. How many people know that though? Most people live on the money and trust. We hear it all the time. Oh, trust Christian in the vault. I got a Cesta K trust that I'm living out of. Oh, really? Let's talk. You're living out of the Cesta K trust when you discharge, correct? When you go get a debt and discharge it. When you go and try to write off something, correct? The estate. If the estate is a trust, that's what they say. Some of them come to the vault. They say, "Oh, it's a living estate." So is it a living trust? Because the trust and estate form have the same tax form, ain't that right? Oh, so which one is it? Because when we go look at those boxes over on the left-hand side, they say specific things. Most people live on the money and trust. We got to keep repeating it. Because somebody said, here you go. What difference does it make if you're not at the income level to be in trust? So, trust Christian in the vault. What are you saying? I need to have a certain amount of money? That's what a lawyer told a potential client recently. We've heard this for years. So he tells him, yeah, we can say it was a him, it was a him. It is what it is. He told another gentleman, the potential trustee of his family estate, you don't have $10 million. So you don't need a setup like that. Oh, really? Well, if we were on the call, we would have questioned the attorney. A, are you in trust? Because if you don't have $10 million, why are you in trust? They're living off of it. They're living in it. Why would a lawyer not be in trust? When they set up contracts, escrows, these things are accounts, whether it's called the fund or a contract. Contract makes the law. Contract's trust, right? But somehow, you don't have $10 million. Think about that, brothers and sisters. They got some other race telling you you don't have enough money. So here we go with our analogy. Because a lot of people, they're going to agree or disagree, but we're open. Please type into the chat and work with us. So if somebody comes to you right now and says, hey, we're giving you a Rolls Royce. If you don't know what a Rolls Royce is, on average, the car costs over $200,000. If somebody's going to give you the Rolls Royce, there's a few different mindsets. The first mindset is a victim mindset. Man, what am I going to do with this car? This car is a little pricey. It's not in my price range. I couldn't afford it. What am I going to do with it? Now I'm left with a burden. Here's the fighter mentality. The mentality that says, I am a business person at heart. I'm a creator at heart. They say, you know what? Thank you. What can I do with this to either help myself or someone else? So you get the Rolls Royce and you use the talent. You use the vehicle. You don't bemoan that you have to grow the vehicle. So if someone says, oh, if you want to be in trust, you're actually supposed to have $10 million. But if you want to get in this Rolls Royce early, you can. You just got to earn the lifestyle to accommodate this vehicle. But the vehicle is yours. Once again, you can afford it now. The vehicle is yours, but you definitely want to get to the $10 million level. Why? Supposedly, that's where you were going to be able to get in that vehicle anyways. Let this lawyer tell you. But most people, the listening audience, just let y'all know. Go to your lawyer and say, hey, we want to be in trusteeship. We want to have a foundation, maybe possibly in our family estate plan. See what they say. We're encouraging it. We get this year after year, week after week, day after day. Potential trustees come on and get wiped out. Oh man, my attorney said, your attorney. Hold on. So you know how you claim it, your attorney, right? Your attorney didn't say you shouldn't do it. They said you should do it after you make $10 million. If you are not making $10 million, if you don't have $10 million right now, it's safe to say it's good to be in it right now. It's just the facts. Oh, Trust Christian, I don't want to get in the car and I don't want to mess it up. Oh, you hear the victim mentality? The fighter mentality says, I'm going to make it work one way or another. I'm going to get in. I'm going to learn the rules of the vehicle. I'm not just going to get in and start the engine up. First of all, I don't even know what a button at. All right, cool. I'm going to get in. I'm going to read the owner's manual. Oh, I'm going to go through trustee training with Trust Christian in the Vault. Because I understand that it's a vehicle and I need to be trained on how to maneuver this vehicle. It's this, but how many people say, oh yeah, I researched the LLC, I researched the corporation. Hold up, wait a minute. Did you research an S Corp before your accountant or your lawyer put you in the S Corp? Hold on. We're going to go ahead and say it for public record. The S Corp is the worst entity you could be in. And we have no problem with saying this to the public. It's a pass-through entity. So what's the point of even getting it? There's no protection. Because you want an alter ego name in front of you? Well, I don't want to use my name, Christian. Trust Christian Vault. I'm going to use a corporate name. It's going to be a pass-through. So it's like a fake shell, a fake veil. And I'm going to get hit with personal taxes. That's what that looks like. But somehow, the attorneys and the accountants are convincing people. Because they didn't read the owner's manual of the S Corp. Well, Trust Christian, don't do me like that. I don't know. I didn't know where the... Hold on. You didn't know where the what was? The owner's manual for the S Corp? Did you know where the owner's manual for the LLC? Did you know where the owner's manual for the C Corp? Guess what? You ready? It's actually on the website of the IRS. And then we're supposed to communicate with these professionals, accountant or lawyer, and say, show me which one has the least amount of tax liability. And it has never been an S Corp. It's never been an S Corp. It's a personal vehicle. It's an alter ego. So the only comparison that they try to deter you from is the C Corp, because they hit you with the silly line, is double taxation, because you're taking a salary. They didn't tell you that part. Why they call it double taxation. Just like, here we go. We got a trustee comes on the line today, says, Trust Christian, talk to us about this B&O or whatever it is. We're about to pull it out. Beneficiary Owner Information or something Act. Oh, we need you to share the beneficiary's information. Well, corporations are on state level. Did y'all read the owner's manual for the corporation? It's on the state level though. Right? How's the... Remember that, man, we don't even want to bring up certain things because it's triggered so many emotions for people nowadays. But the Fed is strong. Just know that the states came before the just know that the states came before the Fed. They will. The county record is stronger than the state. It's just the facts, ladies and gentlemen. Townships are born out of smaller areas. They become under a federal enclave. Once again, state. Oh, Trust Christian Vote, the Beneficial Owner Information Act. Y'all think that's going to change Las Vegas? We sorry for pointing out Las Vegas. Y'all think that's going to stop people from starting corporations in Wyoming? Most people don't even know why they starting a corporation in Wyoming, but they ask about it. Oh man, I'm going to open up a corporation in Wyoming, Trust Christian Vote. Sure, we got to go to Wyoming. We don't know why we going to Wyoming, but we need to go to Wyoming. Hold on. Why are most major corporations registered in Delaware? Delaware is not a major credit financial institution. You think about it. It's a zip code. They have a bunch of businesses that are registered there. So that zip code or those zip codes should be rich with credit. Most people don't go live in Delaware. Why do you think corporations are set up in Delaware and created in Delaware? It's for privacy purposes. No, Judge Christian Vote, don't tell me that. So here we go. We're going to have this conversation. If we digress, y'all understand that we do our best to bring it back to the point of most people live on the money and trust. So we sitting here watching a few clips actually. So please forgive us for not seeing the entire interview, which there was a congressional interview with these blockchain guys, these crypto guys. So y'all say, oh, Church Christian, you jumping back on them again. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and talk. So, first of all, the public blockchain ledger is just that. So when these brothers and sisters, y'all need to guard your grill and stop being fooled. Oh, we gonna go on the internet and put all our money on the internet through a blockchain technology that our children and our family can't code or uncode or decode. Oh, you're at the mercy of the master of the system. What's his name? We don't even want to say Komodo. We don't Komatsumoto, whoever, Matsushita, whatever his name is that created the Bitcoin. The master's not even around anymore, and you got your asset base placed in a place that you think you have control. Remember, do you own the Bitcoin or do you control the Bitcoin? What do they call it? Fractional ownership? Sounds like fractional no ownership, and you're in control for a period. And it looks like that. Isn't blockchain living in trust? They were supposed to be private. They were supposed to be we're blockchain, we're encrypted, the government's not going to have access to us. Next thing you know, don't think the feds ain't been there. They've been there the whole time. Knock, knock, who's there? Sam Bankman-Fried, open up your door. You just took $1 billion from the public. You just took $1 billion from the public. Multi-billions from the public. Sure, he's behind bars, but the money that was lost was at the risk of the investor, the beneficiary. So the beneficial owners, remember, that's supposed to be private in the blockchain, right? Not at all. It's called FACTA. What's the other one they got? We don't even do these programs anymore because you got to work your way out of it, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all put an office in place, put a team in place to go and register and do these things. If you don't want to do it, yeah. And so, what is it? FACTA and KYC. Know your customer, know your beneficiary. Know your customer, know your beneficiary. People are living in trust, and most people live on the money in trust. If you're going to do the blockchain stuff that's supposed to be private, first of all, the blockchain was supposed to be a trust. It's a contract. What they tell y'all, let's talk. It's a smart contract, Trust Christian. Well, please explain to us what the dumb contracts are. But supposedly the regular financial institutions that they think that they're going to move out of power, which they haven't, Trust Christian, they don't have smart contracts. but they've been doing it for over 100 years. Okay. So we'll see how long it takes for these other contracts to get in place. But they're supposed to be trust contracts because it's supposed to be private. So what they say when you doing the blockchain stuff, he said that you're able to do a private transaction but he said that the banks were private. Right, the banks are private. Why would you want to leave the private banking institutions? Yeah, people don't hear it because you don't want to hear that the elite are always going to tell you something right in front of your face, and we're on that side. As an elite, we're going to tell you what we're doing. They want to put people in a position where they give up their information and they become public. If it's on the internet, it's public. It's okay. But we have to face that fact. Oh, but then there's private companies. That's the only thing that we can use is that there are some countries such as the States. United States honors private contracts. Okay, that's true. They do honor private contracts. What happens now when you get remember, right now they are private. These blockchains, whatever you want to call them, cryptos, they are private. For the most part, they're not completely registered in the public because they have not released their information as if they were in the public. Since they haven't had to release that information and have not released that information, they're not public. They're private. And in turn, what's happening is regulations make them public. They're getting regulated. They're getting statuted out. People were afraid that blockchain or crypto were going to be an accredited investment only. A lot of people thought that for a while. They were like, this is an accredited investment. We don't want, and that's the you don't even want to know. That's what happened for a while. They said it's accredited investor only, should be limited to accredited investors, and quote unquote the average citizen has been able to get in there and they've lost their life savings multiple times. Many people are down and out, and it's wild. And so, once again, it's supposed to be private, but they want people to give out their information. And then in front of your face, they'll say, "Oh, Trust Christian Vote, listening audience." Oh, what they say? You're already dealing with private financial institutions, right? Because those banks, people try to say, "Oh, the banks are public." The banks, they're private. Why? They started from someone like you and I. They were created. Someone created a bank. Did they go into public? Yes, they have public reporting. Remember, the banks don't own the trust that you manage. They just report what money goes through the bank account. By that being the case, they don't own the trust. So, once again, in a particular case that most people are in with the blockchain, not only do they hold your personal cash, most people aren't doing blockchain and trust. You hear the difference? They're doing it in their personal name because of their KYC stuff. Because when you're dealing with these international countries and international companies too, if you're not registered, if you don't come to they want to see the driver's license. They want to see a passport. They want a surety. They want to report. They want to be proactive in their reporting. Why? They rather give up a few so they can stick around. Trust Christian, I thought this episode was supposed to be about most people living on the money in trust. And they do. They live on it. Through the corporation. Because if the trust ends up owning the corporation that you're living out of, the company's making money, and you're paying your bills off of it. See how it's your bills? Your personal still. And when it's business, you stop living on the money and trust. And passive investments become the predominant way of living. Because think about it. If you work and make money, you're living off your seed. You actually need seed capital to fund your bigger dreams. Some people may argue that. When we say seed capital, some people may know how to raise capital out of thin air. Not everyone knows how to do that, so most people are going to do it the conventional way and they're going to take their own money. We've seen this happen many times in trusteeship. Most people take their own money and they use it to build the business. That's what you would do in trust. There's no difference, but there is a difference. One you own, one you don't. That's the difference. One of the major differences. So we're definitely thankful that you all have stayed on and listened this long. Please hit the like, subscribe. Feel free to type into the chat any questions y'all have about some of the topics that we covered today. This was definitely to stay in alignment with the actual episode name. Most people live on the money and trust. It's the same thing if we were to say LLC or C Corp. It's no different. Most people are living off the most people are living off the money and trust. That's just the facts. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listen to replay. Feel free to reach out, type into the chat where you tune in live, listen to replay from. Christian at trustchristian.com if you're looking for a consultation, trustee training. Once again, it's Christian at trustchristian.com. Appreciate you all for tuning in live, listening to replay. We're thinking actually how we can add more value. We haven't done an episode in a while here. Because we're looking at the title right now, and just some people say, okay, you point out the problem, you're telling us that most people living on the money, but how are they supposed to really be moving? Here we go. Actually, we're on a consultation today. You got to read publication 535. Fringe benefits for the public side will give you an outline and parameter scope for privacy. If anything, the privacy probably has a lot more openness, leniency, and creativeness in the contract. But if you don't have any standards for what would be considered excessive on the public side, then that will be something. So once again, we had a trustee we talked to today. They said that they were reading it, said they were needing to look into it. It's publication 535. Once again, that's publication 535. So feel free to, once again, go read that publication. It's not a long publication. We're just going to make sure for you all real quick. So just give us a second. Yeah, we researched it earlier today. Guide to business expenses. Once again, it's the business expenses, ladies and gentlemen. So, my coffee and a donut, the money that I'm spending for clothes, I'm supposed to at least get some of them through the business. Exactly. Oh, hold on. The interest on my house that I think I'm buying. Hold on. The interest on my house that I think I'm buying. But you got to say it 3 times because they say it lasts for an effect. The interest on the house that you have a mortgage on. That's not a business expense, but it's a personal expense. The taxes. Property taxes aren't a business expense, or they a personal expense? Hold on, the insurance, is that a write-off for a business, or is that a write-off for a personal? Amortization, hold on. I didn't get amortization, hold on. I didn't get depreciation on my property as a personal property because I'm doing it personally. Correct. That's the case. That's the case. Bad debts. Hold on, Trust Christian and Vault. I'm living in trust. My bad debt is a write-off. Hold on. That's not financial advice. That's not legal advice. Let's go to your lawyer conversation. Let's go to my accountant conversation. I need to read this publication. I need to find out why my accountant didn't tell me. Hold on. Bad debt is a business expense. Oh, man. But the country, they fool me, Trust Christian. They tell us every week that the country's in debt. They tell us that Donald is going to put us in more debt as the country. Oh, really? But it's a business expense. They could almost wipe that out overnight. And people are living in fear instead of focusing on doing what they got to do, which is getting their money and putting it into gold. Putting it into silver. Literally, you're exchanging out of the fiat that you say can be revaluated and going into something tangible. Once again, we brought up the crypto. Y'all can go back and listen to this episode. We encourage the listeners, the new listeners, to go back and listen to this episode about that crypto stuff. You think about that. First of all, they already have access to the records of Sam Bankman-Fried's company. They have pretty much everybody that, like, how are they not able, if every transaction is tracked, the feds got every transaction. That's a lot of transactions. It's an excess amount of transactions. So now, here we go. What happens when they start putting flags on certain amounts? They gotta come up with regulations for this stuff because they're aware that money laundering, they're aware that people are moving money privately. It's considered black market money in the crypto space. But they're actually asking for regulations so they can come in the public. Because this is what happens. People say, oh, ain't no money in the private. That's a lie. But they could live off debt in the public. It's hard to live off debt in the private. You live off equity in the private. You hear the difference? They know that though. These crypto companies have no value. That's what's called equity. They have no value. So they're going into public to go public. Oh no, Charles Christian, that's not the case. Why would you ask for public regulations then? They're asking for public regulations so they're not being sued, so they're not being in court cases with the Gov or the SEC. They want to go public. They're going to be a public ledgering system that maybe have a little bit more accuracy, may cut out. They actually call gas fees on the crypto side. They have crypto exchange fees. It's not like you leave the fiat space to go into a crypto space that doesn't have exchange fees. Oh, it's less fees, Trust Christian and Vault. If you want to believe that, go ahead. The NFTs fell off to a degree because there were fees that were just exorbitant. They was crazy. Like, it was just like so many people were like, man, the fees, this is not a developed field. The fees are excessive for the money that you're using. Okay. No, Trust Christian, that's not the reason why it fell off. We actually are fans of NFTs over at the Vault. We love levels of encryption and copyright for the internet. That's NFT. What we see though as well was these exchange companies that what was that? FTX was an exchange most likely, and they were acting as an intermediary. Once again, that's a bank. Here you go. The intermediation that was happening from these banks, go back and listen to these gentlemen that were sitting there giving a vouch for crypto in front of Congress recently. They said the banks were the intermediaries. Crypto is a disintermediary. Some people may say, oh, that's great, that's great. The private came before the public. So why would the crypto guys say, these are private financial institutions and we're the public blockchain ledger? Elite will speak to you straight to your face and tell you how we're going to make you a slave. To your face. And we're going to dare you to put money into our money trap. Oh, Trust Christian, the money trap? Literally, that's what's happened multiple times from the blockchain and these crypto guys. Don't give everybody a bad name. They don't all have a bad name. But they have to take responsibility because it's such an infinite environment. You want to weed out. You want to self-regulate the environment. Clearly, have they done that properly? We just saw a company go down. Oh, Trust Christian and Vault. Is GameStop still in business? Is the other one, Bed Bath and Beyond, those ones that were pumping dumps recently in the markets? They still in business. Ladies and gentlemen, it's definitely a very important thing to put on your investor cap. But stop letting these elites talk to you straight to your face and try to put you back in paper slavery. Talking about do a KYC. Are you doing KYCs for the trust? Are you doing KYCs for the corporation? Or are you doing personal KYCs? Let's talk about it. Most people live on the money and trust anyways. If you're going to be investing in crypto, if you're going to be investing in all these other things, are you doing it in trust? Are you doing it in corporation? Or are you doing it personally? Let's talk about it. And once again, that's why we had to go out and put it out for the record that these agents, they're con artists. For these athletes, these celebrities, they're con artists. They're great talkers. They're great salesmen. There's nothing wrong with calling them that. Con artists mean you can convince people with things. That's what they do. But they're not lawyers all the time. So we have to be aware of that. Brothers and sisters got to be aware of that. We got to stop being prey to the predators. Well, I don't know how to read my contract. I got a free ride at a 4-year school and I didn't get a business degree on how to read contracts that I'm about to come out and manage for the rest of my life. Do you see how the system is playing with them? If you go up and be an athlete, they call you a student athlete. Why don't you just learn business and contracts so you don't get duped? Why didn't you learn trust or law to protect your assets? If you know you're going pro, you're going pro. We got to have a team. We got to have education. They say knowledge is power. If you're on the athletic field, knowledge is power. If you're as an actor, a celebrity, knowledge is power. They got the free education. But then you hear all the time, oh, no, I ain't even go to class. I told the teacher I'm going pro. I don't even need to know this. And next thing you know, pretty sure Patrick Mahomes actually went to school, probably got a degree, and he still got robbed, burglarized. Now let's talk. Do you think Patrick Mahomes only has one house? Let's be real here. You think he only has one house? No. We're going to throw our hands in there and say maybe he doesn't. So if we already got you on one house, why wouldn't we just do a property search and find out all the properties you own and hit all of them strategically? This is the mercy that if you're with the wrong agent, they'll put you in. Your house is supposed to be in trust, but somehow you still got robbed. How, Sway? How? Because my agent, my property manager, he's not helping me manage my property right. Once again, these agents, they'll manage an athlete. They'll manage different athletes throughout multiple generations. Some of these agents have been agents for 20 years, 30 years. They've dealt with multiple athletes. They know athletes get robbed. Why? It's not a coincidence. You want to know why a professional athlete gets robbed? Because you're considered to be rich. So people want to rob you because you're rich. But you don't need to rob me because I'm rich. Rob me because I got my name on the property, like they did. You don't get robbed just because you're rich. You don't get stolen from just because you're rich. Their names were on the house. So now, once again, this is where you see a lot of athletes end up breaking out. They'll have like a family office. They'll have a organization that pretty much manages their financial affairs. Once again, do they have the property in their name or is it in a family estate? That's the position they're in because they have so much capital coming in. You got to be in a protected position. That means, how are you vulnerable with that type of money? Poor people are vulnerable because they're not wealthy. That's the facts. That's the facts. But how are you wealthy still getting targeted? And we're talking about wealthy people once again. Aren't you living in like a gated community? Okay, that's one. If you're not, that's fair. But let's talk about your team around you now. See, your team around you, we're aware athletes get robbed. We need to put insurance into place, but that's the easy thing. That's the doofus test. That's what they do to the athletes. Oh, yeah, we just got to get insurance. No. We need to make sure that we're in private sector. No one knows that I own this. How about that? How about that? You think they getting robbed because their name wasn't on the property? How would they know it's your property then? And then how would the public be able to report it if you were in trust? The public media can't report something if it's, well, they can, fake news, whatever, but the public media reported it because the Mahomes team, the Kelsey team, wanted people to know
that their personal name just got robbed. So they have to make a public record of it. Otherwise, there would just be a private entity or a business entity that would report that it had the same situation and that would handle it accordingly. But instead, the name was on the property, which was known, and we need to report it properly. Case of a loss, because it was a burglary. Christian at trustchristian.com if you want to protect yourself and get trained on that. Christian at trustchristian.com. Look forward to hearing from you all. That's the email you can reach out. Christian at trustchristian.com. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for tuning in, listening, live, listening, replay. Peace and joy.